Hey everybody, working on the 300D, and things didn't go too good recently, so I was gonna go bleed the brakes because the fluid that I could see was super nasty. It was like black, and so I got all set up and started bleeding the brakes and had my son just like push down, and I did the open, he pushes it and all that stuff, and then basically the master cylinder blew out, and so from the brake booster where there's the accordion kind of boot piece, that's where it just fluid is leaking. So he's like, "Oh my god, it's on my shoes," and I was like, "Shit!" And so I got a new master cylinder. I'm gonna see if the brake booster can get saved. All right, in the car I got the cluster back, and so this is the best mileage I could estimate based on all the service records. There was 2 clusters this car had, and just tracking the miles. And then when it broke in 2019, that's when I just kind of added an extra 12,000 per year to the calculation. And so this is roughly what the car has. And so this is the first time it has something mildly accurate. When I got the car, I think it's at 205,000. Anyways, so that's sorted. And I worked with Rick Borth at speedometer.com, or Overseas Speedometer, basically. And yeah, I got the trip part fixed, and the needles, I don't know if you can really see it, but I painted those myself, and so all things considered, it came out pretty good. It's not perfect if you get really up close. It used to be a nasty yellow, starting to turn gray color from the paint wearing off, so that's something. I shared the steering wheel install, so that's in here. That's looking good. Works really nicely. And yeah, I got the bottom of this stuff off, and I'm going through to basically go under here where this connects. There's it's really hard to see, but there's a little clip here. I'm going to try to show it. There's a little clip here. I need to undo that clip. It's kind of like a cotter pin. Pull it out. And then here there's the number 13 socket. There's 4 of them. I can undo those. And let's see if I can show where it's leaking. Yeah, so you can see how it's moist there and it's dripping. And so that is something I'm going to have to see if, hopefully the brake booster is not full of fluid. There's a vacuum line hooked up to it that goes to the engine. So we'll see. If it is, I can probably get the fluid out. And yeah, here you can see there's the master cylinder. So I think this is also, 2 13 millimeters holding that on. I'm just going to pull this reservoir off, try to get as much fluid out as I can. Probably even have some things like a new cap. I have these new plastic pieces to put on top. I'll save the reservoir. I think those are no longer available. Yeah, I'll try to show the fluid that I have, because I did extract some, and boy, it was nasty. Yeah, there's the brake booster cable that just needs to get pulled off. That's a 19 millimeter, and I think for these ones I can use a line wrench, and I think it's 11 millimeter. So just pull this straight off. After I go get the ones inside, I can do those too. I should be able to push it out, and I'll definitely want to disconnect these hard lines. Yeah, here we go. So when I was doing the flush, I put in new clear liquid. I made a little bottle contraption that would capture it from the bleed nipple, and then this is what came out, which was just awful. So my brakes were super spongy. You had to push them all the way down for it to do anything. So I'm glad at least it failed in my garage and not on the road. So yep, here's my setup for taking off those bolts under here. So it's pretty, you need a lot of you can't get anything close in there, so you need to go at it from far away. And then just the extra leverage helps too. So just breaking this free is piece of cake with a long extension. So I have either a 22 or a 24. So here's the piece that's holding on the brake pedal. to the brake booster. So you just slip a screwdriver in here, and you can just kind of figure out how to do it. I think I had to slip it through here and kind of almost bend it, and then it pulled right out. Once it pulls out, just go ahead and slip it back in here so you don't lose it. Here you can see the brake booster is this brass piece, so it's no longer connected, so it's not going to engage when you push it in. That's what it's going through. I got the brake master cylinder out, so here's this. That should be easy enough to swap over with the rebuilt one I have. Now here's the brake booster. Just started to get out, and I'm going to try to capture this. You can probably see some of the particles on the surface there, and like some of the light reflection. But yeah, there's liquid in there. So I'm going to definitely take this out, get all that out, maybe put some rags in there to help so it doesn't spill all over the body here. And I'll have to figure out what to do, if this is still good or not. I don't even really know what a brake booster is, other than helping assist with the brakes. So we'll see. Yeah, there's all the brake fluids. I got this out. It was not difficult because it's hard to get out, but it's difficult because of all the hard lines you have to move out of the way. Definitely don't want to break the vacuum line going to here. So I put a rag in there, and the rag just disappeared in the middle of all that liquid. So it's a lot. This is pretty heavy just because of the liquid weight. Pretty crazy. All mostly drained. You can still hear some liquid there. I got the fluid extracted out of here, just kind of actuated this until all the stuff came out. But probably the majority of what's in here is what came out of the brake booster. And it's pretty nasty. So it was super overdue for a brake job. I mean, this has got to be way over 2 years. And then this came out of the middle of the brake booster, so I don't think that was supposed to have came out, but I just kind of actuated the part here. What happens when you push the pedal, and that's when this just fell off. And yeah, I don't really. Yeah, so I think that basically the brake booster failed. So the master cylinder might be okay, but I got a new one anyways. I don't want to mess around with this one. I'll have to save this plug. But otherwise, yeah, I save all my parts for the jobs and just put them in a box for a year or whatever in case I need something from them, or I want to look at the condition of something. So you can see here this rubber is starting to fail. It's, yeah. So definitely due for a brake change. So I'll go and look on eBay, I guess, for this part. It's getting harder to find the W124s in the junkyard. And then even so, you got to make sure that this is matching what you get, because there are some differences. Obviously, like the vacuum hose can be a little different. Probably also the way it attaches could be different. I don't really know all the differences, but the vacuum is used for diesel for like the ignition and stuff like that. So you just got to make sure to get the same part number. So for me, I have a picture of it before I did this. This was readable at one point. So yeah, I'll have to figure that out. That's the next step. So that's the end of this video. I'm just gonna have to figure out, get another booster, and then I can do the rest of the install.